All right, guys, we should be live now. Welcome and happy Friday. We got a pretty nice 10-game slate to go over here. A lot of teams resting some players. I think we can take advantage of that. Recapping the slate last night, it was not the best for us, but hey, new day, new slate. Mark, how are you?
Just so many things that just did not go according to plan, or just like things that went like a notch just under where it needed to go. Just crazy. It was a day where I felt like, usually I feel like for the most part you go on Twitter and you see some people post some good wins. It seemed like everybody lost yesterday.
Yeah, it was a board. I mean, I talked about it for a while. I was just like, I'm not confident in anything. I thought the lines were very sharp. There was not many teams shorthanded, so it was a tough one for sure. The Bulls won. Levine not scoring it overtime. Vooch obviously getting there because of the overtime. Paul George not playing it overtime.
Yeah.
Just kind of wild. But yeah, it is what it is. Are you ready to move on to talk about the board today, or is there anything else you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say I sorry to people who played Kevin Durant. I believe he was 0.5 underneath his fantasy total yesterday on PrizePicks. That's brutal. I'm trying to think of some of the tough losses we had yesterday.
KD going under even with overtime is pretty pretty brutal.
Yeah. Malik Monk just not doing anything. Dwight Howard, I don't get him. I don't get his usage. He's so sporadic. And if there was a game where I thought he would have played bad yesterday going up against Gobert, and then he balls out. I don't know.
It's one of those things for me with Dwight. It's always, if you can project if you think he's going to be on the floor, he's always going to be a good like DFS value as long as he's not super expensive. And that was a game right against an immobile center and Rudy Gobert, who just kind of sits around the rim, where I thought Dwight could play more. Right, that's really what I want to target him, is against those traditional centers like Gobert, Embiid. Right, when you get a team like a more small ball team like Dallas, where they can just like cook him in the pick and roll, that's where you see his minutes are way more in question. But usually against a traditional center, you see him play more.
Yeah. I mean, which like that logic, I get that. It's just like, I feel like there are still games when they have that traditional center and he plays 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, Vogel's done that many a times. So there's still no guarantee with that. I'm just saying there's the better chance he plays more when you have a big like a Gobert or an Embiid or a JV.
True. But yeah, just a weird slate yesterday. The only thing that I felt like was predicted well is we talked about the Pistons playing against the 76ers.
They end up winning. You've been on the Pistons train, and they've been covering and or just winning straight up recently.
So they're 17-2 in the last 17-2-1 against the spread the last 20 games. That's incredible.
That is
17-2-1.
I mean, you can take advantage of things down the stretch like that. Like the Pistons are playing extremely well right now.
Yeah. And talking about, I mean, I think we can start off probably talking about them right now because they have, what did I see? Kelly Olynyk's out, Bagley's out. Who else is out? Corey Joseph,
yeah. So their bigs really, it's kind of Isaiah Stewart, and that's it. I mean, they have Braxton Key. I don't really think Livers will play the 5. I think what happens tonight is I think the starting lineup will be Cade, Killian Hayes, Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Livers, and Stewart, and then Braxton Key's going to play the backup 5 just because they have like no other bigs, the Pistons. But yeah, they're shorthanded in a good matchup here. So I saw Isaiah Stewart's rebounds went up a 2. I think he was at 9.5 or 9 last game, and now he's at 11.5.
Is he really?
Wow. Yeah, bumped 2.5.
Wow. He was at 8.5 last game.
Oh, was it 8.5? I thought it was 8.5 or 9.
Yeah, he was at 8.5. They put it up 3. Woo!
So here's the thing. If I knew for sure he's going to play 35 minutes, I think I would like that. Don't know if he's going to get the minutes bump, right? He could, or they could just go to Braxton Key as that backup 5.
Right. And they could also play a very small lineup. Like, it's not like the Thunder have a big lineup.
That's true. They could go they could have like a Sadiq Bey at the 5 if they wanted at times. So Yeah, kind of unsure on what I want to do with Isaiah Stewart, just because I don't really know if he's going to get a huge minutes bump here.
Yeah, I think this is a game where Cade and Sadiq basically just like don't come off the court.
Yeah, Sadiq's numbers do look kind of low, but God, this guy is just, I still, like, he can still go under it. He's such a frustrating roster DFS, such a frustrating player. There's just at times where he takes over and at times where he's just awful. Like, I remember I think it was the beginning of the second half of the season, Jeremy Grant was out. I had Sadiq Bey as a core play on DraftKings, and he finished with like 8 fancy points in like 35 minutes. The next day goes for like 50. So it's just like I never know what to do with him. But I will say I think he's probably going to play close to 40 minutes tonight, just the way the Pistons roster looks.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to if I put everything at 100 basis. Cade's probably going for 30 tonight. He wants Rookie of the Year. I think that's a lock. You're probably looking for 10 out of Killian, 20 out of Sadiq. So what's that put you at right there? 60, right? Mm-hmm. So you still got to get, if you get 15 out of Isaiah Stewart, you got 75. And then you're basically looking for about 30 points from Livers, Braxton Key, Magruder, and Frank Jackson.
Yep.
So I think that's probably a pretty accurate description of what they're looking for out of that team. But speaking of Detroit, by the way, I just got this in for Roast Umber. Check this out. Look at this. This is a mug that's a baseball bat barrel.
Oh, that's sick.
So a little Tigers logo. And then we got Roast Umber on the back. Check that out. We're debating putting these up for sale if we can find a way to make them cheaper because they're very expensive to make. But very cool. So just a mug with a baseball bat barrel.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, so I like this Piston game a lot. I think this is a great game to target. I think Maladon again is going to be a great option. I wish they would put they don't have Lindy on here, do they? No.
It's just like the main guys. I know they don't have Lindy. They don't have Vit. But you're gonna get 30 minutes for all these guys. Because JRE is still on a minutes limit, so he's gonna play like 15 or so minutes. Basically, everyone else is gonna play about 30. So that's 7 guys playing around 30 minutes. Some of these do look a little bit low. Like Aaron Wiggins, not gonna be fun, but 13.5 points kind of stands out to me just because I feel like he's gonna chuck. Maladon, kind of interesting. They don't have his assists, and they don't have Roby assists either.
Yeah, that's because Roby assists has been smacking. So they had to take that down.
They have Pokashevsky assists. That's a 4.5,
which he's been dealing.
He's going to play a lot at the point. Like I feel like when Maladon is not out there, he is going to be their ball handler. Even so, he's still gonna handle the ball a good amount. So I think that Pokashevsky assist number does stand out. I do want to check out though what his potential assists have been over the last couple of weeks. So let me just let me look that up. NBA potential assists. So let's just look at when was the last game that Shea played?
Oh God. Probably
it's been 3 or 4 games now where it's been this, where they've had no Man, no Shea. So 321 was the last game Shea played. Last game Man played was 326. So let's just go to 321 and let's check out. I'm curious to see what his potential assists are. Let's go to Thunder and let's just go from 322 on because that was the last game that Shea played. Whoops. Yep. 22. 322 to today, and we'll run it. Okay, where are we at? So he's at 11 potential assists. Okay, so
that's wild.
That's a decent chunk. He has got a little bit lucky then with 11 and 8 assists over the last couple games if he's only averaging 11. Here, let's go from the last game Man missed because Man obviously will handle the ball at times. So the last game he played was 326. Let's go. I think that's gonna give us a 2-game sample here. I believe from 327 to today. Then he's at 14. Okay. So 14 potential assists, and he's at 4.5. I mean, that is one that does stand out to me. Sure, he's gotten probably a little bit lucky with the assist, right? Guys just making the shots whenever he's passing it to him. But I think if he's going to average about 15 potential assists and he's at 4.5, I kind of like the over there.
Yeah. No, I could definitely get down with that over. I think that's a smart play. I like the data behind it. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Cool. Anything else you like in the Thunder? Again, I know the Roby assists aren't on there.
Probably Maladon points.
Points? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's at 17 and a half, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot. I think he's he's probably their leading scoring option next to probably Poku. And so, yeah, I like him a lot. I think he's going to have a really good opportunity to score a lot of points tonight. I think, this is a game where I like the over in this game. I think it's going to be higher scoring than the 221 because I think this is just there's not a lot of defense in with these two teams. Yep. And I think if anything, the Pistons are a better defensive team, and they're going to be a little bit tired on a back-to-back, so their defense probably takes a little bit of a hit there. So I think you've got something like Isaiah Roby, like PRA looks really good. It's at 26.5. I think that's a great option. Truly, I think all the PRAs in that game are a little bit low. Like Wiggins being 20 is low. Like you give me a guy who's going to play 30 minutes and tell me his PRA is somewhere between like 20 and 30. I'm going to be a big fan of it because if that game does hit that over, a lot of those are going to smack. So yeah, definitely a big fan of the OKC big dogs today. And
in my opinion, too, you saw some kind of outlier game for those secondary options, guys like Lindy Waters and Vitt and Olivier Sarr all played extremely well last game. I'm not saying they can't do that again, but I don't know if they all did really, really well. I would think more often than not, it is these main guys that are kind of doing a lot of the production.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that too. So
I did want to bring up the Clippers though, because that's a team I'm extremely high on today. Have you seen the news for the Clippers?
They have Paul George out. What else did I miss?
Basically, everyone's out. Paul George, Reggie Jackson, Batum, Morris. They only have 8 active bodies, and the guy you mentioned, Xavier Moon, is actually one of them. But this is just a team. I think that a lot of the lines are too low. You're gonna get probably 40 minutes from Terrence Mann. I think you're probably getting at least 30 plus from Kennard and Coffee. I really like a lot of these props. I think you make the argument for Covington. For some reason, they only have the points in the PRA, but Mann, Coffee, Kennard, I'm extremely high on taking some of these overs just for the amount of minutes, right? It's a different situation, obviously. And you're going to have guys like, sure, Xavier Moon and Rodney Hood will get some minutes, but I see this as a situation where you get like 40 minutes from Mann, 35 from Kennard, 35 from Coffee. I'm really, really high on taking the Clippers overs here.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm hoping Luke doesn't screw me. He had I've always had bad blood with Luke Kennard. Ever since he was a Piston, I did not want them to draft him, and they did. And then that was unfortunate. And then a few weeks ago, I had a massive 9-leg parlay that was like plus 19,000. And I needed Luke Kennard over, I want to say it was over 15.5 points. And he had 15 going into the fourth quarter. And he did not take a shot in the fourth quarter, and he did not take a shot in overtime. And I lost a 9-leg parlay all because of Luke Kennard. And I was like, that's what I got for talking shit about him when he was on the Pistons. So
I wasn't a fan of the pick either for what it's worth. So,
so maybe tonight he makes up for it. You know, yeah. We love a redemption story, right?
100%. Looking at the chat, Skywalker, what's up, man? Big Red, how's it going? Happy Friday, guys. Let me know if you guys see anything on PrizePicks you like. Just let us know. Let's see. So yeah, I think as far as the Clippers guys go, I think if I'm taking a prop on Kennard, I think it is the points prop, just because he's a guy that's what he's going to do, right? You might see 25 shots from Luke Kennard in this game, so I think the over. I don't care about recent games at all. Right, it's just a completely different situation. So I like the over there and Kennard 16.5 points. I think the Terrence Mann, either the PRA or the fantasy points, I really, really like. He's going to be the main ball handler. I was hoping that you would have some assists because whatever it would be, I would probably take the over on the man assists, but the man assists are not up there right now. So I think either the PRA or the fantasy points, I'm extremely high on both. And then Coffee, same thing. I think PRA or fantasy points are too low. It's too low for all these guys, in my opinion, for the situation that they are in, for the amount of minutes that they're going to get.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Do you like you said Luke Kennard points prop? Do you like his fantasy score too? Because I feel like 25 is pretty low for a fantasy score for him.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Again, I think he'll probably do a load of ball handling, a little bit of playmaking as well. So I think either the points or the fantasy points look good. Just again, I'm team Clippers today. It's basically a similar situation to the Rockets as we talked about a couple days ago, right? We were all in on those Rockets props because they were just too low for the role that those guys were in, and I think all these Clippers props are too low right now. So I'm really high on all of them. And then Zubac is the one where he's going to have a lot more usage, but I don't know if he plays alongside Hartenstein. They have done that a little bit at times where you see both Zubac and Hartenstein, which I guess is possible. So, like, if I knew for sure that was going to happen, then I probably would be looking at some overs on Zubac as well. But he's the one where it's like, does he really get a huge minutes bump? I'm not sure. It depends on whether or not the Clippers want to run him and Hartenstein together.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I think Hartenstein probably is a little bit more athletic. And with Milwaukee kind of having a more athletic starting five, I think there's a chance that you see more run with Hartenstein. Especially because Brook Lopez is out today, right?
Yeah, so like the Bucks, they could. The reason I think they could play a little bit alongside each other is the Bucks. They're thin too, but like they still have a good chunk of bigs that are available. Like they could run a lineup of like Bobby Portis and Ibaka.
Yeah.
They also have Sandro Mamukelashvili, however you pronounce his name. I think Thanasis is going to be available too for the Bucks. Let me just check to see if he's. Yes, I think the Nazis will be available as well. So I think the Clippers could get away with playing Zubac and Hartenstein a bit together today as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. By the way, Skywalker, you said there's some easy money props in the NHL. Send us some. We'll talk about them. I definitely I love shot on goal props for the NHL. So if there's one you're feeling, put it up here and we can talk about it. But yeah, going back to that game, I think that's a great game to target in general. I think that, both teams obviously super shorthanded and you kind of know where the offense is coming from on both of those teams. I think Amir Coffey assists really stood out to me at 2.5. He does tend to create a lot of assist opportunities when they're super shorthanded. And actually, same thing with Luke Kennard. Now I think it could make sense to do Amir Coffey 2.5 assists and Luke Kennard over points prop. That's something I can definitely see. It's tough to look at their pass numbers because they're so off, but I definitely think both of them kind of ball handle a lot more for the Clippers when they're shorthanded.
Yep, I agree with that. So I know there's been like a game or two where the Clippers have rested everyone, but I don't recall which games. So I wish we could go back and look at the numbers for that game.
Let me see if I can pull that up because I remember it was an OT game about 2 weeks ago where they had basically everybody out. And I think, let me see if I can. So that was in.
Let's look here. Let's look to see when was the last really big Amir Coffey game. Maybe that was the game that they rest. So.
Yeah.
That was a blowout against Philly.
Oh, was it March 14th?
March 14th against Cleveland. We played 40 minutes.
Yeah, there it is. March 14th.
So did they rest a lot of guys? Let's take a look at did Reggie play in that one?
No.
March 14th. No. Okay. So who all played in that game?
Hartenstein, Brandon Boston, Luke Kennard, Terrence Mann, Zubac, Batum. So Batum was in that game.
Okay.
And Amir Coffey. So, but in that
how many
game,
active guys did they have?
It looks like they had 9
looks
guys.
like 9. Okay, so let's take a look at that game. Actually, I think this would be a good sample of what we can expect for tonight. So here, let's go to the Clippers.
And there's no Brandon Boston tonight, correct?
Yeah. So I think Xavier Moon will actually be playing the backup point.
Hey, Xavier Moon.
Yep. All right. Where are the Clippers? There they are. LA Clippers. All right. So this is, what was this, 314?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just take a look at that. And I want to, whoops.
This is the game where Luke Kennard screwed me.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, Terrence Mann, no surprise, had 13 potential assists. So you had Coffee at 7 and Kennard at 7 potential assists. And they both, so this was an overtime game. So I guess Mann played 40 minutes in regulation. Kennard and Coffee played 35 in regulation. Zubac played 31 in regulation. Looks like they did play Zubac and Hartenstein a couple minutes alongside each other, because 31 in regulation for Zubac and 20 for Hartenstein adds up to 51. So they saw a couple minutes alongside each other. But yeah, so 7 potential assists for Coffee and Kennard, and they're both at 2.5. I will say those seem a little bit low if they're going to average 7, somewhere around 7 to 8 potential assists. I think 2.5 is a little bit low.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is that this matchup I like more. Going up against Cleveland is not like Cleveland.
And that was one I think Cleveland had, like, I think they had it still at least. They had still Mobley on the court.
Mobley.
They started Lamar Stevens too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a better defensive lineup than it's been for recently for the Cavs.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely think that it's a little bit, we should see a little bit more offense in this game. Especially with, really outside of Bobby Portis, who's a good defender on Milwaukee.
Yeah, the Bucks they're going to be thin for sure.
They got Wesley Matthews and George Hill's corpse bodies out there. Yeah.
I think Jordan Nwora might pick up the start. I would guess the starting lineup for Milwaukee is going to be George Hill, Grayson Allen, Pat Connaughton, one of Ibaka or Nwora, and then Portis. So it's not going to be a great defensive lineup here for the Bucks. But question for you. So I know we normally do it at the end. We make our 5-pick prop, but I feel like some of these Clippers lines could move.
Yeah.
Are you willing to maybe put one in now, and then we can take a look at some others as we go through it for the rest of the show?
Of course. Of course.
So the one that I like first, the one that I really like for the Thunder is the Pokusevski over assist.
Yeah.
Are you good if we take the over in that one?
Yep, let's do it. 4.5.
Okay. And then for the Clippers, so the question is, do we want to take some of like the low assist numbers on the guys like Coffee or Kennard, or do we just want to take like the points or fancy points?
Yeah, I think we can target the points of either of those guys. I also like Terrence Mann points. But I could get down with his PRA too. Let me just pull up Clippers in general, the full team.
I think the one I like the best for PRA would be Terrence Mann.
Yeah, I would
just
agree.
Because he's going to be their main ball handler. So 26.5 PRA. Are you good taking the over on that?
Yep.
Okay. And then Kennard, I think the one I personally like the best is going to be the points, just because I think he's going to shoot a ton. Like, how many times did he shoot in that game March 14th?
Probably. Not enough, I'll tell you that.
Enough. Yeah. He did only go for 14 points, which is a little bit surprising. He saw 21 and 20 shot attempts for Mann and Kennard. Now, I don't put a lot of weight into that. I still think Kennard's going to shoot a lot. You saw 4 assists for Kennard in that one and 2 for Coffee. Again, both had seven potential assists in that game.
Yeah. I mean, Amir Coffey's not a great shooter, and he had a pretty good game in that game. And then, Zubac went for 24 in that game, and Brandon Boston was out there shooting, and even Semi Ojeleye was out there shooting. So, that was a weird game. I think Luke Kennard is going to earn my love back tonight when he hits a 17.
All right, let's do it. Let's do the over on Kennard points. Which one? I'll defer to you on the coffee. Which one do you like the best for the coffee? The 2.5 or points PRA?
I mean, do we want coffee there, or do we want to run it back with somebody from Milwaukee as a to run it against it? Like, I think Grayson Allen has a good point prop at 13.5. I think Bobby Portis can always do his thing. I have no issue with doing an assist prop, but I also could easily get down with doing one of these, running it back with somebody from the Bucks.
We could do like the coffee and then run it back with someone on the Bucks. So that gives us 5.
Yeah.
Because I just think that all the Clippers lines are a little bit too low right now.
Yeah, that's true. Do you like coffee at the 2.5 assists, or do you like something with his? How many rebounds did he have in that game? Let's see.
I mean, if he's going to average like 7-8 potential assists, then the assist number does. Like, I'm just not sure how. Like, I just don't know how much Xavier Moon's going to play. If he's going to be like, we haven't seen like anything from him, so I don't know if they go to him a lot or if they just go to Coffee as maybe a backup point. Because Coffee can play that playmaking role.
Yeah, my only thing is in that last game, the assists were really well spread out. Batum was the only one that had more than 4, but it seemed like everybody was at 4 basically in that game outside of Amir Coffey. He shot more than I expected him to, because if I remember correctly, if my memory serves correct, I think I had Amir Coffey assists in that game in another prop, and it didn't hit because it was – or actually, you know what? I take that back. His was super low. It was 1.5. So it did hit because he got 2. But but I do think – it wouldn't shock me if he shot the ball more in this game, which like I do think if you're looking at this lineup, the Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, and Amir Coffey are basically the guys that I expect to put the ball in the hoop today. So is it smarter to go the 20.5 and assume that he's probably going to get you around 15, 16 points, and then you basically just need him to get you 5 in assists and rebounds total.
I think I like what you're saying. So the PRA for Coffee. Yeah,
because imagine he gets 2 assists and then we're sitting there like, damn it. And he goes for. I mean, once again, you go back to that 100 points. That's got to come from somewhere, Right. So we could run it back with a Buck if there's somebody that you feel confident on, or we could run it back with the Piston that's going up against the OKC and Pokusevski.
So like I think Bobby Portis is going to be their main scorer here, and it is a pretty good spot for him. So the only thing I will say about the Bucks props is they still have I think they're still going to have a good chunk of 10 or 11 active bodies. So it's not going to be the same situation as the Clippers where they're playing 6 guys majority of the game. The Bucks still have a good chunk of players that will be active. I think if I had to take one, though, it probably would be the Portis over points. Would you rather do that, or would you rather look to the Pistons?
I would say let's look at the Pistons and see if there's one that stands out more. I always like Bobby. My only thing is, like you said, they do have a few extra bigs. And so I do, Nawara tends to shoot a lot, and Grayson Allen can shoot a lot. Yeah. So that's my only thing is do we, 16, for Bobby, you're going to need him to be kind of the focal point of the offense. And I don't know if he will be. He's always a focal point of that team in this. I think he'll get his rebounds and whatnot, but I do think they priced him pretty well. Do you
want to go for Payne and go for Sadiq Bey over fantasy points?
We could either do that, or we could go for Cade over 24. I think he wants Rookie of the Year bad, and I think he feels pretty disrespected that he doesn't seem to be talked a lot about in that. And he's been on a tear, so I wouldn't be shocked if he went for that, because I mean truly the 2 games where he didn't play as well were the Knicks, which a slow-paced team, and Atlanta, which has some more athletic guys to guard him. but I just don't know who's going to stop him on OKC. That's my only thing with him.
I agree, and I like Sadiq or Cade, and here's the reasoning, right? So no Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley's been a pretty high usage player in this offense. He's not there. Corey Joseph, not a big deal, not playing. Kelly Olynyk, a high usage player off the bench. He's not playing. So the Pistons are going to be shorthanded. And you look at their roster, it's like, all right, so who is going to score the ball? It's going to be a lot of Cade and a lot of Sadiq Bey. So I'll defer to you on which one you like the best, but I think both look good to me.
Yeah. So I could argue. By the way, if anybody's watching and you've got an opinion, throw that in here because we can easily take one of these. We can be swayed either way. But I think, you look at Cade, PRA could be a really good one today. I like his points. I like his PRA. He facilitates so much. He just has the ball in his hands all the time. I like his fantasy score because he does get a lot of steals. He can get blocks. So I could really argue any of these. It does seem like his fantasy score, he's been hitting that pretty well. Like I said, there's 2 games where he wasn't kind of near that 44, but those are 2 matchups that I'm not a gigantic fan of. I do think there's I probably like because they don't have his assists up there. Mm-hmm. So I probably lean towards his fantasy score, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. He's hit it last couple games. Again, he's going to play huge minutes tonight in a good matchup. So I'm okay taking that one. If you like that better than Sadiq Bey?
Yeah, I mean, Sadiq is just he's just can be so frustrating. So it's would I be shocked if he hits that 30? No, but I also don't think he's necessarily looked at as, hey, we need you to step up big time in a game like this. And I do think I always go for when a guy has something he's playing for, and Cade wants Rookie of the Year bad. He definitely has a chip on his shoulder. He definitely sees Jalen Green shooting better the last few games. I think that's on his mind. And I think he looks at a game like this as a game to just absolutely decimate. Okay.
I'm down for that. So I'm going to throw that in right now on my phone just so we don't so we're taking the over on his fantasy points.
Yep.
I'm gonna go put this in right now just so before the lines move, because I feel like the reason I wanted to do this a little bit earlier was just because I feel like some of these lines could move, especially with the Clippers.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go put this in right now.
Yep. So we got Pokusevski over 4.5 assists, Terrence Mann over 26.5 PRA, Luke Kennard over 16.5 points, Amir Coffey over 20.5 PRA, Cade Cunningham over projected 44 fantasy score.
Yep.
There we go.
So I'll put this in. I'll tweet it out really quick, and then we can talk about the rest of the board. There's going to be a couple other things that I do want to mention. But yeah, I do want to get this in.
Yep, I'm in.
And then
I did a little bit more today. Did a little bit more money on this today.
There you go. Yeah, see, I think I like situations like this more than a slate like last night where there just wasn't a lot of shorthanded teams. I think you can just take advantage of things like this when teams are much more shorthanded. So I'm a little more confident in the plays today than I was yesterday, just because teams were there's no shorthanded teams.
Right. Are there tell me once you've got that in there, we can talk about some other
Yeah, so let's see. I want to see who else to add for the Bucks, so we'll keep an eye on that as things go on. I just tweeted that out, guys. You want to check out the 5 picker. Again, if that hits, we're gonna do a roast number giveaway. So
yes, sir.
Let's check out. Do they have any Grizzlies props up? Not yet. Okay.
No.
So I'm very curious to see what they're going to be, right? Because I think, Brandon Clark, Tillman, those guys, I'm really high on for DFS. So I want to see what their props are going to be set at. I want to see what DeAnthony Melton's going to be set at. So that's one team that we'll keep an eye on. As far as other shorthanded teams, we talked about the Clippers and the Bucks. We talked about the Thunder and the Pistons. So we're just really waiting on the Grizzlies to see what the player props are there. We can take a look at some of the Kings and Rockets if you want.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm curious to see what they're at. So, Davion Mitchell looks pretty similar. I think he was 37 when we took his over last game. He's at 40 for fantasy points.
Yep. They moved him up.
Damian Jones has moved up a bit, but again, I just don't really know if I trust the minutes. I know he played 34 last game, but they still have Alex Len. So it's a situation where like his minutes not necessarily guaranteed. Davion's probably the one I like the best, but still I think it feels about right.
Have there been multiple guys in the NBA named Damian Jones?
Maybe. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty common name.
I feel like there's been every once in a while when I look at, because he's still so young, he's 26, and I'm like, man, is there another player that I was thinking about that played? I don't know, maybe not. Oh, I guess because he was on Golden State. I always forget that. He's got 2 championships under his belt. Damian Jones, forgot about that. I like him in that game. I like Jalen Green over 22.5. I
was going to say probably the Rockets are going to look a little bit better. The only thing we have to say with this, though, is I want to see before I take an over on either KPJ or Jalen Green, I need that Sengun confirmation, right? Because that is huge. It is absolutely massive. If Sengun plays, Sengun's a super high usage player. He's kind of like a Christian Wood-esque. So it just becomes a spot where if Sengun plays, I don't know if I'm liking the props on KPJ and Green overwise. If he's out, I'm fine going right back to taking the over on these because with Sengun versus Usman Garuba or Bruno Fernando, it's a completely different situation, right? When you have Wood or Sengun out there, their high usage offense is running through those guys. When they're out, it is just get the ball to KPJ, get the ball to Green, and get out of the way, right? Because Usman Garuba is not going to do anything. Garrison Matthews is just going to go stand in the corner. Bruno Fernando is just going to hang around the rim and wait for rebounds. So I think I like the numbers on some of these Rockets guys, but I need that Sengun confirmation out before I take the over.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree. And by the way, Dro, that's who I was thinking of, Damian James. So I was like, man, I know that name looks super familiar, but I was like, I know there was a guy when I was younger with a similar name. So it throws me off sometimes because when I see Damian Jones, I think of like a 40-year-old, even though he's 26. But yeah, no, I definitely think with that Houston game, we got to get the Sengun news. I would love to target him if that's an option.
Where are the Jalen Green? Do they have Jalen Green threes? They don't. Okay.
No, but you know what I like is Dejounte Murray 1.5 again. I know they're basically putting there as a little teaser. They're trying to tease you there, trying to get you to pick that because that game could be a blowout. Would not shock me if it ends up a blowout. Because Portland.
Yeah, Portland's awful. Like I think actually the game will blow out, but has DeJounte Murray been shooting a lot of threes recently?
Oh yeah.
So let's see, 9, 5, 5. So he's basically averaging around 5 threes, a little over 5.
But he just hits them. You know, it's like he's shooting damn near 400 from 3. It's like, you know, he's shooting really, really well. So I like that. I do like that 1.5. That's one that stood out to me. Trying to think what else in this slate when I was looking at it earlier stood out to me. The Scotty Barnes 3.5 assists. He's smacked that the last, I think, like 7 games he's hit that. Now that game once again could be another one that's a blowout. But he has been hitting that and hitting it well. So that's the tough part with a lot of these games is that you're basically hoping that it's not a blowout.
Sorry about that.
All good. It happens. But I do think, you know, he has been hitting that very well. Davion Mitchell assists, I'm a big fan of. I think it's set at 7.5. Okay. He's been hitting that every game basically. Because the 22.5 points with like he gets right around that damn near every time, but he's been dishing it well. What's his are you looking up his
I'm looking up I just wanted to see what Scotty Barnes potential assists works. I know you said he's been hitting it a lot. So he's at 8 potential assists. What's he at 3.5?
Yeah.
So that feels. It might feel like he's just he's been hitting it, but he's also been getting a little bit lucky with maybe players making their shots.
Yeah.
So I was just curious to see what that was set at.
Yeah, that's probably honestly what I expected it to be. They
Yeah.
just have a team of guys that can actually score. So,
Right.
He passes it to somebody, they're probably going to put it in the hoop.
Let's check out. So you said Davion Mitchell assists.
Yeah.
Let's look at just like the last. Okay, so what was the last game like Fox played? So I want to see where his numbers. He's just playing huge minutes, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get massive minutes for Davion. He's going to play about 40 minutes no matter what. So last game Fox played was 316. I think Sabonis was 320. Okay, so we'll just go 320 on.
Yeah.
And take a look at those potential assists for 321 on for Davion Mitchell. Okay, so 13.
I wonder what it would be if you ran it for the last, basically the last, I guess that is the last, last week or so.
So how many games has that been for? So that's this game. So basically all the games he's played, last 4 games, he's been averaging 13 potential assists, and his number is, you said 7.5.
Yeah, so he's been hitting right around that. I don't love it, but I like it.
Yeah, the only thing that's what I said. It's like the potential assists are not amazing if he's at 7.5.
Yeah.
I wonder what the juice is on the DraftKings sportsbook for that, because usually PrizePicks will be basically the same as a lot of sports books.
Pull that up.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to pull it up on my phone. Let's see. Where is that? Okay, so the juice is on the over of the Davion Mitchell assist. Okay, it's minus 150 right now. So
okay,
that is a good sign if you're looking to take the over on that one.
Yeah, I definitely think that's one I could get down with. They don't have Grayson Allen threes up there yet, but I wouldn't be shocked if they put that up at some point.
I would assume they add a couple more from the Bucks. Maybe not, just because rotation-wise, you still don't know with the Bucks, but we'll keep an eye on that one.
Yeah. This is the time of the year where you got to really you got to be paying attention to late news, and then you just got to try to figure out who's got something to play for. Because there's just not a lot of teams that have something to play for right now, and there's just so many dudes constantly not playing. So the Drew Eubanks, I would say I do like his point prop. I want to say it was 15.5. And I love the narrative of him going up against the Spurs. I think the last time he went up against the Spurs, he did really well. He's definitely trying to he's playing a little pissed off when he plays against the Spurs.
Yeah, a little revenge game narrative. I think I could get down with that. They did play 10 guys last game for what it's worth, so the minutes weren't as high. I think Eubanks played the most out of anyone, and then everyone else just played mid-20s minutes. I think Eubanks played 31 in that game.
They don't really have a backup big.
Yeah, they have. Well, I think Reggie Perry is technically their backup big now.
Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of spread out the minutes outside of Eubanks, but don't hate that. Again, I think he's obviously going to want to play well against his former team.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I think it's kind of a wait and see with some of these. I mean, like I said, there's some props that I'm not opposed to, like the 14.5 for Damian Jones points. I think that's a solid one. There's a lot where I look at this and I'm like, okay, this game could blow out. And so it's hard to project exactly how that's going to go. I guess there's one game we could talk about, which would be Nuggets Timberwolves, where I don't think it'll be a blowout, and it does have a very high over-under.
Okay. I was just looking at – I'm surprised they have LeBron at 30.5 projected points. I was just wanting to see what they had. But you said Nuggets and Wolves?
Nuggets and Timberwolves, yeah.
Anything specifically?
I mean, Jokic, you could always his fantasy points are always a fun one because nobody can stop him. And man, talk about potential assists. I wonder what his numbers are because he is just he throws some passes sometimes that I don't know how he sees what he's doing. Truly incredible passer.
Here, we can check out. Let's just look. Let's bring up.
What do you think what's your guess?
8.5. I would say probably around like 17 or 18 potential assists, probably.
Yeah, I'd probably put it
somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go to Nuggets, Denver. Any range specifically? Maybe just the last couple weeks.
Yeah, might as well.
Okay. Okay, so 15, a little bit lower, but still. Again, that's still a lot of potential assists for Jokic.
Yeah, he's a baller. I love Jokic. But
is there anything on the Timberwolves that you liked?
I like what do they have Anthony Edwards at the 20.5? I like Anthony Edwards at 20.5. I think that's a game where he could he can be a little sporadic sometimes. I kind of feel like he either goes for like 15 or he goes for like 30. But he's a good player in a game where there should be a lot of points. So I always tend to just go for the guys that are going to be the ball's going to be in their hand, high usage players in a game like that. And so he's just such a high usage player. It's hard to ignore him.
Yeah, my only thing is I just never get this guy right. So like the issue I have, especially for DFS for these guys, is like in a competitive game, like one of the big three is having a good game, but whenever I try to guess it, it just never ever goes well. So it's usually like Timberwolves when I see all three guys healthy, I kind of just like stay away. And especially Anthony Edwards, I think maybe I've gotten him right once over the last couple of years. But yeah, that's my only downside with the T-Wolves. It's just like these guys are so inconsistent. You never know who's gonna have the good game.
Yeah, very, very, very hard team to predict. But I think there's a wait and see approach with a slate like this. Obviously, we got the one lineup in. I think that's a great lineup. And I think it's just kind of wait and see from there. Side note, do you have a prediction on what you think is going to happen this weekend with the Final Four?
No, just because Michigan got knocked out. So I haven't really been watching a lot of the games recently. So, Duke, North Carolina should be a good one.
Yeah.
What's the other one? It's Kansas and
Villanova.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not a big college guy, so I don't really have any takes that I can say with confidence.
We got to be watching these guys to figure out who we're going to be putting in our prize picks next year.
Oh, I'll be once we get summer league, I'll be ready.
There we go.
Colin said which player is getting dusted off today. Yeah, the Clippers will say they have 8 active bodies, and then they'll bring up like 3 guys from the G League. That's going to happen, and we're going to all get screwed.
It really does feel like, talking about DFS players getting dusted off, it truly feels like sometimes teams are just making up guys. We talked about that yesterday.
Lindy Waters.
Memphis Grizzlies, Santi Aldama, Tyrell Terry. Well, Tyrell Terry, I guess, is he was on Dallas, but Yves Pons, like what?
Yeah, I don't believe that's a legit person either.
Yeah, Gabriel Lundberg on the Suns. Just guys that
these names sometimes you're just like, where did these guys come from?
Yeah. Leandro Balmaro. He throws me off on the Timberwolves because his name just reminds me
Leandro Barbosa.
Yeah, and that's another one of those where I'm like, you remind me of like a 40-year-old player.
I love that Suns team back in the day when you had like Barbosa and Boris Diaw and Sean Marion. Like that was a good team.
Sean Marion with his push shot like that. Just
that's kind of how I shoot. I have like a really like awkward. I have like a really like just not natural form when I play basketball, so I kind of shoot a little bit like Sean Marion.
Not a bad player to play like. He was a hell of a player, but
well, I would say shoot like, not really play like. But.
True. But yeah, I think unless anybody's got anything, if you got another prop that we haven't talked about that you want to hear us talk about, put that in there before we log off here. But I think this is a really interesting slate. And I will be looking at some prize picks for tomorrow for college basketball. I actually do get super degenerate with that sometimes. Paulo Banchero for Duke, 17.5 points. I'm not opposed. I do think you can find some interesting. Wait, that's not real. Adam G. Edelman to the Buck. That's not real.
Oh yeah, that was an April Fool's joke. He tweeted that out, but
God,
I gotta say, I don't know what your take is on people tweeting April Fool's jokes, but let's just say that's I would never do that.
Yeah. No, I saw a YouTuber yesterday, a sports trading card guy made a YouTube video, and he was like, tomorrow I'm going to be addressing the like some news that's going to be coming out about me, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, oh, damn, like what's happening? Yeah. And then I was like, God, it's flipping April Fool's tomorrow.
I feel like you got to just like not be on Twitter like today just because you're just going to do so much that. Just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, last year I think I put on my IG story that I was arrested, and then like at the end of it, I was like made some like bullshit like this, like very obvious, like this is not real. And like 2 weeks later, somebody was like, "So you got arrested?" And I was like,
"No, dude."
Yeah, I was like, "Man, this is when it goes too far." But no, I think this is going to be a good slate. I'm excited to see some of the news that comes out. Yeah. Adam, I wish Edelman came back. It would be fun to watch him with Brady, but I think he's shut it down. I think he's retired. But yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting slate. I think we should keep paying attention to this, and maybe we put out another one if there are some more guys that they put up in some of these later night games, because I would like to see if they add anybody else in the Bucks game. Or in that Pistons Thunder game, because I would be all aboard some Lindy Waters and potentially some Pat Connaughton or Jordan Nwora, but I don't know if they'll add those, but I would love to see it.
Yeah, I am curious if they do Grizzlies. That is one team I want to see.
That too, yeah.
Because the bigs, especially like Clark and Tillman, I would want to see what those guys are at. Again, they still, I believe, technically would have 10 active players, but I would be curious to see what the props are set on them.
Yeah, DeAnthony Melton, if he's anywhere around like 14 or 15 points projected, like I'm over that all day.
Him and Dylan Brooks, I was talking about, they might shoot 30 times each. So.
Yeah. So definitely a big fan of that. Xavier Tillman, I watched him so many times when he played for Michigan State, and I think Ayton's going to body him. So I not as big of a fan of that. I would say I doubt they have Ayton double-doubles on here. No, they don't. So I was going to say I would take Ayton double-double if they had that. But if they end up putting that up, I would definitely take that.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. What do they have for double-doubles right now? Just Paul and Pirtle, okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think that's all I really got. Anything else you want to talk about, or you want to call it on that?
Yeah, I think we call it on that. Right. Adam's disappointed with the Edelman news. Yeah. But yeah, let's call it on that, and let's just we can keep each other updated on if we need to make another one with some as we get closer to the games actually starting, we can do that and tweet it out and get it going.
That sounds like a plan. All right. So thanks again, guys. Enjoy your Friday. Let's hope we get a winner tonight. And see you guys back here in the next stream.
Let's do it. See you guys.